Hi traders, welcome to my weekly Forex video taking a look at the majors, euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar yuan, interesting confluence of resistance on the euro dollar. First of all though, be aware that this video is shown to a global audience but may not be suitable for everyone. Visit admiralmarketsglobal.com, select your country of residence and contact the appropriate entity for more details and information. Also please be aware that trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This video is for informational and educational purposes only. By continuing watching this video, you agree with this disclaimer and you are aware of the risk involved when trading. Okay, let's start with the euro dollar weekly chart, and I'm showing you this higher time frame because of the fact that price has reached quite a critical level of resistance, and there's also a strong confluence. First of all, you got the bottoms back in here, showing that this was about midpoint of this larger triangle that we saw, of course, for the last couple of years. You see this orange line here and this blue line that I will be drawing in just a second. I'll make that blue right now, or green perhaps. And that triangle about halfway is this purple line, but higher perhaps, but you get the point. It's about a midpoint of that range, plus the bottom. Also, if you connect the tops, you get a resistance trend line. You have the top of the Admiral Keltner band, which is part of the MetaTrader 4 Supreme Edition, and you see also the top of a channel. You see the blue lines indicating a bullish channel so far. So from my perspective, plus of course the round level of 110. So for me, it is really a question of, will price turn and still continue with the downtrend? The price already broke through this supported trend line a while ago, of course, like that. This breakout, is it still ongoing? Is it still part of the downtrend? Or has the nature of the market, has the market structure evolved and changed? Is the downtrend over, and will the euro dollar start on a upside, an uptrend, or even a serious correction? So from my perspective is this channel basically a correction for more downside? Is this a turning spot to test the support and then break lower perhaps later on? Or will price break above this resistance, and in that case I would expect a bullish momentum up to the next resistance line, up to the moving average. Alright, that could be a breakout above 110 up to 112.50, maybe even higher. Let's take a look at what this level is right here, maybe even up to 114. Alright, and that will be a new resistance zone up in 112.50, 113.50, and 114.115. So that's the potential if price breaks to the upside. So let's see, last week was a doji candle. So far I'm expecting price still to turn. I think it could make one more dash up to test 110, 110.25, and then turn at that resistance. I would be expecting a bearish bounce. I would especially keep an eye on the daily chart. A huge daily pin bar, bearish pin bar at the R2, at the weekly resistance 2 level of the weekly pivot point. I would be interested in shorting. However, if the daily candle is showing me strong breakout candles and the daily candles are looking something like this, for instance, well then I would change my direction. If price breaks with a good daily close above 110.25, 110.50, I would actually be looking this week and next week for a dip back and a bounce for continuation up to the next resistance. Alright, so that's what I'm doing. I'm looking at these zones right here for upside, or here for downside, and here for downside. But the primary thing I'm keeping an eye on is the daily candles. How are the daily candles going to react to 110, 110.25? That's the primary question in my mind. If price does not reach 110, but rather breaks the pivot point, the weekly pivot point, then I would be looking for some kind of break, pullback formation, continuation down to the bottom of this channel. Alright, so that's what I'm looking for. 4-hour chart, you see that price is going sideways like this. At the moment, it's probably a good chance that there will be a breakout to 110. But if it doesn't happen, once again, I'm keeping an eye on these trend lines like this and the pivot point to see if there would be a break, pullback, continuation down to the bottom. I'll talk about the pound and the dollar yen in just a second. First of all though, be aware of these live webinars. Live trading session with Nenet on Wednesday. Thursday we take a look at intraday charts and systems part 2. Monday we take a look at the consequences of the French presidential election. And of course Wednesday, Thursday again live trading session with Nenet. And Thursday we have an educational webinar Discovering why trading instinct is key. Okay, let's move on to the pound dollar daily chart, and you can see that this strong candle is still dominating basically right here. This candle is still dominating the field. We've had some smaller candles after that, then a break to the upside. So from my perspective, is this a pullback for one more push up to 130, or is this the divergence between these tops, and will there be a correction? So for me, I think still upside is likely at this point, but it is going to be closer, of course, to resistance. As it hits 130, it could definitely be a strong resistance spot and bouncing spot. For me, however, at the moment, this particular formation, this high, this low, or this low perhaps, and this high, are all part of a correction. And I think that a little bit of correction to the upside is still possible from here to 130. And that could be a major resistance spot if price bounces at 130 and there's a big bearish pin bar on the daily chart. There is space for a downside correction here, at least to test these tops, one would say. All right, so something to keep in mind. 4-hour chart is in a triangle. Let me get rid of this green line right here. And you can see the orange and blue line. So from my perspective, if it breaks above the orange line, what I would be looking for is a good 4-hour candle like this, for instance. Then I think that there's a good chance of a breakout to 130 and perhaps further, but that's the first target. Or if it breaks the blue line, there's a good chance that price will retest 128, 40-ish, 50-ish. Let me check what this level is. Yeah, 40. You see here tops. Those could be bouncing spots. So this is not a breakout I would be liking to trade. It's too small. But that could happen. If it breaks below blue, it could fall like this. What I would be primarily interested in trading to the downside is if price shows momentum and a bear flag and breaks that bear flag. All right, then I'm interested in trading it to the downside like this, back down to 127.50 first, then down to 126.60. All right, the breakout to the upside though I think is more interesting and seems more likely at this moment, and therefore looking for a 4-hour candle like this, waiting for a bit of retracement, and I think there could be a continuation bounce. Oh, that should be blue, sorry. There we go. All right, last but not least, the dollar yen daily chart, and we see here a 61.8 fib bounce off this chart, and price is bouncing pretty strongly. What I'll be expecting is this to be a wave 1 or A. Apologies for those that don't like waves, but that's just what I'm expecting. I'm expecting therefore price to kind of turn back, make a reversal, and make either a wave 2 here or B. All right, so I think that putting a fib from here to here makes sense, and looking for price to, for instance, bounce at the 110 would make a lot of sense. You see here the left shoulder, here could be the head, here could be the right shoulder, and it could be, well, it's not a perfect head and shoulders, but it could be some type of inverted head and shoulders. So that's what I'm expecting. For the moment though, I do think that price could still kind of poke through and make one more upside. That would be the 5th wave in my opinion. This being 1, 2, 3, this being the 4th, and this being the 5th. The 5th target, primary target, is the -272 target at 112.50, 112.70. So I think there's some upside left. After that, I do think though there would be, once price hits 112.50, I would expect a 3-wave correction, an A, B, C, back down to perhaps, for instance, 110 round level. On this 1-hour chart, therefore, I think that there could be still some small upside. If there's a good 1-hour candle above this trend line, for instance, and Keltner, it could indicate a small push still to 112.50, but prices are already at 112. So it's not something I'll probably be very interested in at this spot. Right in here, for instance, a break of this trend line, that was better. There's more space up to 112.50. Now it seems a bit tight. Interested in the Admiral pivot points or the Keltner band, check out admiralmarkets.com and go to MT4 Supreme Edition. There you'll find webinars, of course, as well, analytics and articles. So I hope to see you there and wish you all great trading. Cheers.